Rio de Janeiro, a city of contrasting fortunes for its vast population. Until recently, here in the hilltops, the many tourists who flock to visit Rio's traditional sites were rarely seen. But today, with many favelas more structured than they once were, tour guides are common and visitors are more frequently seen.
20% of Rio's population live in favelas. It's a considerable number of people that we cannot ignore. They're a part of Rio, just like those people who live in Ipanema, Copacabana or elsewhere. To understand Rio, you must understand every side of it. In Rio, all communities are very close. The favelas are right behind the richer neighborhoods, on mountains or hilltops. So they're very close in terms of distance, yet very far apart as far as cultural differences are concerned.
Worrying about the image much more than the content.
The reality of the favelas in Rio has changed a lot over the last 2 decades. During this period it became more violent at first, and then, more recently, more peaceful. Over the last 3 years, life is more peaceful in areas where the police have occupied territories to regain spaces that have been lost to the parallel powers, to crime or to drug trafficking. The process of pacification began 3.5 years ago, one favela at a time. There are now 26 pacified favelas that were once considered very dangerous. Drug dealers dominated those areas, but they are no longer there. The police are there permanently, having reclaimed a public space that had been neglected for a long period. The government is reclaiming that land. It's not just a process of pacification. It's also a question of citizenship, public services, infrastructure, and overall improvements. I think it also improves the self-esteem of the community itself, of the people who live in the favela. The positive point for future generations, for children who grow up there, is to see that today the reference for the community, the person that dominates the community, is no longer the figure of a drug dealer, drugged up and using his machine gun. It's now a government employee who has a uniform, who has his name written on that uniform, and who is offering some security. I'm sure that for future generations, as a reference to the kids and to all children, this has a value that cannot be measured. The Parity School has been running here for the past 17 years and is funded by a group of Italian individuals who formed an NGO. We have supported them as we feel that their selfless work can only be helping the members of our community in a positive way. The bulk of our support for this educational project is financial. And after all, education is the only way out of poverty. We must make the most of this short moment in time that the World Cup has offered us to do what needs to be done. I don't know if it will be done or not, in the right way or not, but the moment is now. And we're trying, and it's not just the favelas. The whole city of Rio de Janeiro is on a path to improvement. I hope this approach can be continued, not only until the World Cup, but afterwards too, by becoming more integrated with international standards, so we can become a more developed city.